Hare Okay, chapter 5, text 20, I think 19 and 20, because he didn't cover 19 yesterday. Pitan Prabhu was meant to give class, he didn't give class yesterday. Something happened here, with these 60 devotees who came in, Chandikanath Prabhu's program, and so anyway, I'll do 19 and 20, it's linked up anyway. I'll do 19 and 20 together. So 5, 19 and 20. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari अंतर्राष्ट्रीय में भगवद गीता की जय, राधा गोकुलनंद की जय, सीताराम हनुमान की जय, गौणिताय की जय, शिल प्रभुपाद की जय, सामवेद भक्तविंद की जय, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदी। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Today reading from chapter 5, Karma Yoga Action in Krishna Consciousness, text 19 and 20. Okay. Ihevati jitaya sargo yasam samya sitam mana nidasam hi samam brahma tasmar brahmanite stita ihate jitaya sargo yasam samya sitam mana nidam hi samanam brahma tasma brahmani te stita ihevati jita sargo yesam samya sitam mana nidasam hi samam brahma tasma brahmani te stita Iyahite jita sargo yesam samya sitam mana idasam hi samam brahma tasma brahma jite sita. Okay, word for word. Iha, in this life. Iva, certainly. Te, by them. Jita, conquered. Sarga, birth and death. Yesam, whose. Samye, in equanimity. Stitam, situated. Mana, mind. Nidrasam, flawless. He, certainly. Samam, in equanimity. Brahma, like the Supreme. Tasmad, therefore. Brahmani, in the Supreme. Te, they. Stita, are situated. Translated in Prabhupada by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Those whose minds are established in sameness and equanimity have already conquered the conditions of birth and death. They are flawless like Brahman, and thus they are already situated in Brahman. So Prabhupada. Equanimity of mind is mentioned above. It is a sign of self-realization. Those who actually attain to such a stage should be considered to have conquered material conditions, specifically birth and death. As long as one identifies with his body, he is considered a conditioned soul. As soon as he is elevated to the stage of equanimity through realization of the self, he is liberated from a conditioned life. In other words, he is no longer subject to birth and death. He is no longer subject to birth in the material world, but can enter into the spiritual sky after his death. The Lord is flawless because he is without attraction or hatred. Similarly, when a living entity is without attraction or hatred, he also becomes flawless and eligible to enter into the spiritual sky. Such a person are to be considered already liberated, and the symptoms are described below. So I'll read text 20. Nahi pasya priyam prapya nivad. Okay. Nidvad prapya chapa chitam buddhi samaho moha brahma vid brahmani stita. A person who neither rejoices upon achieving something pleasant nor laments upon obtaining something unpleasant, who is self-intelligent, who is unbewildered, who knows the science of God, is already situated in transcendence. The symptoms of the self-realized person are given herein. The first symptom is that he is not illusioned by the false identification of the body with his true self. He knows perfectly well that he is not this body or self-intelligence. He is therefore never bewildered by mistaking the gross body as a soul, nor does he accept the body as permanent and disregard the existence of the soul. This knowledge elevates him to the station of knowing the complete science of the absolute truth, namely Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagwan. He thus knows his constitutional position perfectly well without first identifying, firstly trying to become one with the Supreme in all respects. This is called Brahman realization or self-realization. Such steady consciousness is called Krishna consciousness. Oma Gyanti Mandasya Gana Gana Salakya Chakshuminitamini Tasme Shri Guruvai Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapita Mena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prachayani Visheshwaniwadi Paschatayastayane Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So the fifth chapter is titled Karma Yoga Action in Krishna Consciousness. And these two verses Prabhupada is going into some understanding on qualifications of a self-realized person. There was in the time of Gandhi, during the British rule, he tried to make the low-class people into Harijans, or servants of Hari, or servants of Krishna. He tried to promote them, elevate them by name. And he was trying to get them to enter the temples. But there was a protest which was going on, because the temples were not allowing them to come in. So his plan didn't work. So that shows from that example how you have to elevate people through qualification, not through birth. It's a qualification which is more important than birth. And Srila Prabhupada gave an example on that, how there was one judge, he had two sons. One became a lawyer, one became a judge, the other one became a rickshawala. Because he got attached to the woman who was low-class woman, so he became a rickshawala. So it shows how whoever you associate with, you take on those qualities. So one of the sons was associating with a judge, so he became a judge. The other one, he got attached to a low-class woman, so he became a rickshawala. So, and Prabhupada gives an example. He was asked a question in Melbourne, 1975. How do you become sincere? And Prabhupada said, you associate with devotees. Prabhupada gives an example. If you associate with drunkards, you become a drunkard. If you associate with devotees, you become a devotee. So the human form of life is meant for austerity. He said, but unfortunately, what stops people from achieving self-realization is maintaining material attachments. I was going through Mahabharata just recently, and some examples are given there how even the kings who are meant to be in a dynasty of sun god and moon god, and they're meant to be self-realized kings, they become diverted because they become attached to material position, name and fame. There was a king called Chitranga. This is when Pandu died. He died. He was hunting in the forest and he shot a deer who was a sage. And the sage cursed him that just like I'm mating with my wife, when you mate with your wife, you will die immediately. So that's what happened. Although he was self-realized, he had an understanding about something about Krishna consciousness, but the fact that he was enjoying in a sensuous way, the attraction came with Madhuri, and so all of a sudden passion came in, and then he died soon after that. Immediately after enjoying, he died. It's not just a matter of understanding. Theoretically, you have to practice it. So we can see in the line of Brahmanas, they maintain their purity by austerity. Austerity is wealth of Brahmanas. So when a Brahmana gets wealth, he doesn't keep it, he gives it out to others, or he gives it to a good cause, like that. He keeps simple himself. In previous times, the kings, they would take guidance of Brahmanas. So we can see even in the Mahabharata, Chitrangad, and what happened to him. He came later, after Pandu died. There was no one to rule the kingdom because Bhishma took a vow to for his mother Satyavati to get married to King Santanu. And because there was this daughter of the fisherman. Actually, she wasn't daughter of a fisherman. She was there was one sage. He gives the history in Mahabharata. This sage was there, and he some history there how they were born. Anyway, there was a boy and girl born. The boy became a great sage, and the girl was given to the fisherman to look after. But later on, Parasara Muni came, and she was riding the boat across the river, and Parasara Muni got attracted to her beauty, although she was smelling of fish odor. But Parasara Muni see, in previous times, the self-realized souls or the self-realized sages, they were present on the earth more because there was more amount of goodness. Parasara Muni even didn't contaminate her pregnancy or anything, but just by union with her, Vyasadeva was born. And he gave her the blessing that your fishy smell will disappear. So she had a nice fragrant smell. So this King Santanu was going in the forest hunting, and he saw this smell from a distance. He could see this smell coming from. So he went to figure out where the smell was coming from. Then he saw Satyavati. And then so Bhishma this Santanu wanted to marry Satyavati, but he couldn't because Bhishma was his son. And he wanted him to rule the world. He wanted to be next heir of the kingdom. But this is material world, how it works. So Bhishma was detached. He wasn't attached to the material world. And this is a sign of a self-realized soul, that he wants to fulfill Krishna's plan. He doesn't want to fulfill his own plan. He's detached from the material world. And Bhishma, to get his father became depressed because he couldn't marry Satyavati. He was attracted to her. He was thinking about it all the time. And Bhishmadev went to the fisherman and he said, can you give your daughter to my father? So the fisherman said, you have to promise that from your side, anyone who comes will not inherit the kingdom. Anyone who's coming from my side has to be the next heir of the throne. So Bhishmadev agreed to that. And then Bhishmadev took a vow of being a brahmachari. And that's a serious vow. Renouncing the whole world, like all the demigods gave him the name Bhishma. His name was Devarata before, but then they gave him the name Bhishma. Means terrible vow. And all demigods showered flowers on him. So after that, Santanu was told what happened, and he gave blessing to his son Bhishma that you can die when you want. And so anyway, this Vichirvirya came in because Bhishmadev took his vow of being a brahmachari. So Satyavati told Bhishma that, look, you have to, Pandu is gone now, he died. But someone has to rule the kingdom now. So Bhishmadev told Satyavati that there are certain rules which apply. As a brahmachari, I'm not going to give you my vow, but there are certain rules which apply that in terms of Mahabharata is given how you can get another qualified person to rule the kingdom if he has the qualities. It's whole detail in Mahabharata given on that. So Bhishmadev, he because he was a Kshatriya, and there's different kinds of marriages in previous ages where you can kidnap a princess, and that's called Gandhava marriage. And if you defeat the kings, no one can say anything. So that's what Bhishmadev did. He got 3 princesses, Amba, Ambika, Ambilika, and Amba, right? Amba, Ambilika, Amba, Ambilika, and Amma. Okay. Amba, Ambilika, Ambilika. Okay. That's it. Yeah, something like that. So anyway, Amba didn't want to go to Bhishma because her heart was with Salya, another king. So it didn't work. So Bhishma sent her away with many women or men, and then she went. And Salya didn't want to marry her because she was captured by Bhishma. So she was doing austerities to get back at Bhishma. And she got help from, she got some blessing on, there's a history given in Mahabharata how she got this blessing. Forget the name, she became a eunuch, like a man and a woman. And the Pandavas, they went to Bhishma and said, how can we kill you because you're very powerful? But Bhishma said, I will not shoot my arrows at a woman. So they knew that this eunuch was there, And Krishna told Arjuna to place his eunuch in front of him, so Bhishma just dropped his arrows. So in this way, Arjuna was able to kill Bhishmadev. So we can see how there was some level of morality in previous times. Some level of ethics and morality was there, even in fighting. So the self-realized souls, they go by spiritual principles of morality. on helping others advance towards going back to Godhead. And in the Srimad Bhagavatam, he gives a few examples on that, like Pariksit Maharaj was one, how he was thrown in his kingdom and he saw a black man who was dressed as a king killing a cow, right? Cutting the legs of a cow. So he stopped and he challenged that person, and this was Kali personified. I said, who dares to do something abominable in my kingdom? I'm going to kill you. So a self-realized person will never tolerate any nonsense which is not in line with Krishna's teachings. In Guru Sadhu Shastra line, he will not tolerate these things. So Kali gave up his weapon and he surrendered to Pariksit. And another example was the Pandavas, how the Pandavas, they retired timely. When the time was up and Pariksit was grown up, they gave up the kingdom. And they allowed Pariksit to rule the kingdom. They gave up the garments, everything, and they headed towards the Himalayas. So even so we can see this stage of renunciation is achieved through knowledge. So we can see when, like, Vidura is a very good example of someone who is a self-realized person, because he was involved with Dhritarashtra and the other side who were against the Pandavas, and he was giving them good advice, but he was also helping the Pandavas in their spiritual path, help them. So the ideal person to be is like Vidura. If one can learn to be like Vidura, he will not be disturbed in any situation. So Vidura was helping the Pandavas in a good way. Like Dhritarashtra's plan was to get rid of the Pandavas, kill them in a nice, peaceful way. Because the citizens were not acting in favor of Duryodhana being the king. They knew he was an enemy, he was a demon. But they recognized the Pandavas as being saints. So the Pandavas showed all the good qualities of tolerance, peacefulness, mercy, truthfulness, religiousness. And so even as devotees who are in the Krishna conscious movement, we are coming in the line of the Pandavas. This is our line of kings. Because this Bhagavad Gita is spoken to a line of saintly kings. So as devotees, we are also coming in that line. So it's very important that as devotees we understand what Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita. And then after understanding Bhagavad Gita, we can enter Srimad Bhagavatam. And in Srimad Bhagavatam, there's more examples given of the self-realized souls. We can see Sukadeva Goswami was on the level of Maharaj Pariksit in one sense. They were both on both equal level. Only difference is Sukadeva Goswami was renunciant and Maharaj Pariksit was a king ruling the world. But their both focus was on Krishna. They didn't divert their focus away from Krishna. So this is the main thing of a self-realized soul, that his focus is on Krishna. And he depends on Krishna entirely. He doesn't depend on anyone else. Even we can see the example of Srila Prabhupada, how when he started ISKCON, he started the Krishna consciousness movement. He went by certain spiritual principles. Like Prabhupada never tolerated impurity. When things were not coming in a pure way, Prabhupada would never not accept it. Like when Prabhupada got donations, if it wasn't coming from a pure source, he would put it in a deity box. Krishna can digest anything, we can't. And only in emergencies, Prabhupada will use money coming from an unknown source. Emergencies to, I think there's one example, a temple in Canada was in a lot of debt. So one of the devotees from East Africa, he got black money and he used that to save the temple. Like that. There was an instance in America somewhere where money was gone from some unknown source, gambling or something, and the temple was in difficulty, was going to be, money was not coming from anywhere. Prabhupada allowed that money to be used for emergency. But then the second time it happened, Prabhupada said, no, that was just for emergency. So generally, we have to be careful how the money should be coming from a pure source, not an impure source. And in this way we can benefit the person also. There are examples on how someone who's coming from an impure background, he's willing to surrender to Krishna. And in that case, even whatever they have becomes purified. But someone not willing to surrender to Krishna, one has to be careful about how they're giving the money sometimes. There was an interesting story to show this, how this is in the Govindiji temple in Jaipur. There was one prostitute who became a devotee. She had a guru. So the guru told her, all the possessions you have, you give it to the deities. All the income you have, give it to the deities, and they'll use that for making Raj Bhog for them every day. So she went to the head pujari and said, I've been ordered this by my guru to give all my wealth to you. So you can use it for cooking Raj Bhog every day. So initially the pujari didn't accept it. He said, you're a prostitute, I can't accept it. So she went back and she started fasting. That night Govindiji appeared to that pujari and said, whatever that prostitute has got, take it and use it for my offering for the Raj Bhog every day. So one time it happened, the devotees in that community, they were taking the Mahaprasad and they passed ablution, right? And they became disturbed. They thought, how is this? This has never happened to us before, So all of them started fasting until they leave their bodies. Lord, how can this happen to us, We're doing austerity and renounced monks. So Govindiji appeared to them, all of them with their dreams, each one of them. And Govindiji told them that she's my devotee, she surrendered to her guru, and her guru told her to use all the income she had for my service. I accepting that service. And it's going for the Raj Bhog offering. So I can digest anything. But that doesn't mean you can digest anything. So the point of this story is, you should only eat what you need to eat. Don't overindulge in eating. In other words, one should Live to eat, not live to eat. Yeah, one should eat to live, not live to eat, like that. So if you eat to live, then you're just taking the bare minimum what you need. You're not overindulging. But if you're living to eat, then you're overindulging. So this is another symptom of self-realized soul, that he only takes what he needs to progress in Krishna consciousness. And he doesn't take more than what he needs. Because the self-realized souls, they understand the material body is matter, is full of ignorance. It causes misery. In the material world, there's more misery involved than happiness. And also, they understand how there's higher pleasure in practicing spiritual practices than trying to get pleasure through the body. So this is why it's important to cultivate a higher taste. By cultivating the higher taste, then these other things become lesser and lesser. Other things which we generally go for become lesser and lesser. So also this is why Prabhupada wanted devotees to visit the holy places in India, Vrindavan, Mayapur. Because Prabhupada explained, there was one devotee, he told Prabhupada that so much money is being spent for devotees to go to Mayapur, Vrindavan. We can use that for projects. Prabhupada gave an argument, he said, you have to eat to live, isn't it? So, even going to the holy places is like spiritual food for the soul. So you get rejuvenation by going to the holy places, then you can carry on with your preaching. But the higher understanding behind all that is, Narottam Das Thakur says, it's a useless endeavor going to the holy places when you can achieve perfection simply by chanting the name of Govinda. So until you get to that stage, it's good to visit the holy places. But the main purpose of going to Mayapur Vrindavan is to take associations with advanced devotees. Through that you can advance yourself. Certain devotees go to do extra chanting, reading, have a break, visit the holy places, hear from the devotees who are residing there like that. They go for courses. So in this way, we can become self-realized. So Prabhupada made the arrangement for the devotees in ISKCON. That's why he spent so much time building Mayapur Vrindavan. So much time he spent. So even if you can't go there physically, you can read about it for now. And by meditating on it, at some point you'll be able to go. Any comments or questions? Get the mic. You can put the Bhagavad Gita back if you want. You can put the cartels back as well.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. You were talking about the higher taste, and naturally, we have the higher taste, and then we eat to live. We don't live to eat, and things like this. But is there still a need to practice? To have difficulty in spiritual life, like we have to push ourselves. Like if we're too comfortable, then will we just get complacent and not make advancement? Do we have to try and go outside of our comfort zone?
Well, the thing is, there's three things which help you to clear your way back to Godhead. Vaishnava Seva, Namaruchi and Jivadoya. Serving the Vaishnavas, chanting the holy name and helping the fallen souls. So by doing these three things, your vision gets clear more and more. So as long as it's in line with these three things, which Bhaktivedanta Thakur is saying, then your progress will be very fast in spiritual life. That's how you have to approach it. Because the material world is a place of disaster. There's always disturbances, and it's a risky place. It is a dangerous place. Prabhupada gives an example. It's like being in a ship in the ocean. The ocean can flood any time. Anything can happen. The material world is also like that. That's why it's important to take proper guidance when you do something. And then through that guidance, everything becomes easy through blessings. Ideally, the best thing is to take shelter of the holy name more and read the Prabhupada's books. If you can't take shelter of the holy name like fully and you're finding it difficult, read Prabhupada's books first. And through that, your faith in the holy name will become strong over time. And discuss with devotees. Like that, until your faith becomes strong. Because the material world is outside is not. People have their own programs, not serving Krishna. That's why Prabhupada wanted devotees to be within the temple premises or have contact with devotees who can guide them. Because it takes a lot of energy to make devotees. It's not so easy. It takes gallons of blood to make devotees, it's not so easy. So, examples are there, like even in preaching Krishna consciousness, someone may think that being in a holy place, everyone's a devotee. But actually, Lord Chaitanya said in Chaitanya Mangal, he explains that even in holy places, people are eating and enjoying mentalities there, and they're not fully surrendering to Krishna. So that's why it's important to be around advanced devotees. Being around them, then blessings come. There's always advanced devotees around. You just have to pray to Krishna, sincerely try your best to follow the process, and they will come and guide you. They will give you the vision how to progress in spiritual life. And there's always three things, like Prabhupada said, I my plan, you're your plan, and Krishna is his plan. Like that. That's also there. Like, one may have his plan, like, I had an instance when I went to Ujjain, temple was built, everything was going on. And then I was asked to come back here, so it's like that sometimes. Like, we have to be flexible in our spiritual practices to see do the need for spreading Krishna consciousness. And Krishna speaks to the devotees also. And there's considerations on your nature, on what you can do, what you can't do, on what services fit into your nature, things like that are there also. But the main factor is, in Krishna consciousness, you have to become serious in your chanting. And see through the eyes of scriptures. Because the basic understanding in spiritual life is you have to understand you're not this body. If you don't understand that, then you'll make no advancement in spiritual life. So all these things we are doing according to our nature is to purify us to a point where we can understand we are not this body. And then from that, spiritual life will become easy to make advancement. So when I went to Ujjain, I was doing a house program, and someone translated from Hindi to English like that. So I quoted Prabhupada's lecture on the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So the husband and wife, they came to listen. And after the lecture, they started coming to the temple more regularly. But the children didn't come much. So the association is very vital. Without that, it's very hard to advance in spiritual life. And the other thing is, you have to see which temple you're suited to also. Everyone got different nature, like here in the Manor, in the Bhaktivedanta Manor, we have the farm community, the cows and gardens and like that. In Soho Street, it's a different environment altogether. They're more harinams, they do book distribution, prasadam distribution. So it's like that, you have to know how you fit into Krishna's plan ultimately. But the essence is that you have to be focused, trying to avoid the 10 offenses of the holy name, see through the eyes of scriptures, and be in good association. And then you know how to fit into Krishna's plan. But if you try and work it out yourself, you get bewildered. Like I've seen, even this COVID time, we've seen, right? The vaccines we have to have and everything. Those who have taken it, they're okay, they're carrying on in their services, things are going on. There's nothing, no calamity, nothing, everything's going on nicely. But then, for some reason beyond our understanding as practicing devotees, those who didn't take it, they have to go into a different bubble. We can't understand. I can't understand. I can't understand it from my point of view, but Krishna has a plan behind it. Isn't? So Prabhupada said, you follow your temple authorities, you follow their instruction. Even if it's a little mistake, just follow the instruction, everything else will work out. Because we have to have faith that Krishna is ultimately in control. Actually, in the 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, 1861, That was Ishwara Bhutanam. Arjuna Tistati Brahma Bhutanam Ranti Rudani Maya. Krishna is saying, I am controlling, wandering the all living entities. I am controlling them. Everyone sitting on the material body, material machine, material body. So in the surrender unto me is given that someone who does not accept that there is 5 factors in all actions: place, endeavor, work, senses, super soul, is considered foolish. So one has to acknowledge these 5 factors in all actions. And ultimately is given that without Krishna's sanction nothing happens. So if we acknowledge Krishna within everything, things will not disturb us. We'll see how Krishna is looking after us. So you have to have faith that Krishna is there. Ultimately, that's the high understanding. So if you have that faith, then things will become easy. Only difficulty is when we maintain our independence. We want to do it our way. Then things become difficult. But if you do it Krishna's way, it becomes easy. Very simple. And the proof of that is the Krishna consciousness movement, right? You can see it's the proof. Prabhupada gave his teachings through his books. He gave the format, how to follow the process. Like that. Is that okay? Antara Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Actually, this discussion helps a lot.